Good afternoon, Mr.
Follow orders from the media.
Brief statement first.
Yeah. It's great to be back in Brussels and also great to attend the meeting of the EU Minister of Finance together with the EFTA Minister of Finance. The last time I attended such a meeting was in 1996, and then Jean-Claude Juncker was the Minister of Finance in Luxembourg, and he hosted the meeting. He has moved forward in his life. I have moved backward, so I am now again back in the position I had 29 years ago as the Minister of Finance in Norway. But it was an important meeting. We had good discussions on several issues. I also had different bilateral meetings with different commissioners in Brussels today and yesterday. We discussed the importance of trade, of open economies, in particular in times of uncertainty, and also where we see that countries outside Europe are restricting trade. It's even more important that we have free trade inside Europe, within the EU, but also within the European Economic Area with the EFTA countries. And then we, of course, in the different meetings I had today and yesterday, addressed the importance of supporting Ukraine, and I highlighted the importance that we all step up together. And I'm proud that this year, Norway decided to triple its military support to Ukraine, and we will provide 7.3 billion euros in direct support to Ukraine, and that's hardly very few other countries are on the same level. And measured against the GDP and per capita, we are on top. That is important because we need to provide Ukraine with the support they need to prevail. It will be a tragedy for Ukraine if Putin wins the war, but also dangerous for all of us.
You mentioned you've had
sorry, then I do that.
You mentioned you've had various meetings while you've been here, particularly yesterday with Commissioner Dombrovskis. What can you tell us about where Norway is at with regards to joining the EU efforts to secure future support for Ukraine?
Well, in the meeting with Commissioner Dombrovskis, I once again underlined the importance of providing support to Ukraine, and I also told him that Norway has tripled its support to Ukraine this year, the military support, and he welcomed, of course, that. It was also an issue I mentioned with some of the ministers today. But the Commissioner also made it clear that the EU has no plans to ask Norway to be part of this lending scheme. The important thing is that we support Ukraine, and Norway provides direct support to Ukraine. And it's hard to have any clear opinion about the EU lending scheme or system. We have not seen, because no EU decision has been made. But the message from the Commissioner was that the EU is not planning to ask any country outside the European Union to be part of that lending scheme. Okay, sorry. Then I try to move around now there, and then I promise to you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Minister, you also said last week that Norway won't exclude to participate in this mechanism the EU wants to launch.
No, but it's too early to have any specific position on a scheme we haven't seen, and the EU has not decided exactly how this will be organized. I also discussed now with the Belgian Minister of Finance this issue, and of course they have raised their concerns, and I think the EU needs in a way to sort out those issues which are on the table, and it's not for me to give EU advice on how to address these issues on guarantees on the security of this financial mechanism or lending scheme. But again, what matters is that Ukraine receives support, and whether Norway provides that support directly, as we do today, or via a EU scheme is not the most important thing. The most important thing is that Norway has tripled its support to Ukraine. We are providing, as a country of more than 5 million people, 7.3 billion euros. And we do that this year, and we are proposed to do the same next year. And this really puts Norway on the top when it comes to how much support different countries provides to Ukraine. especially if you measure against GDP or per capita. But let's see what the EU decides, and what matters for me is that Norway will continue to provide substantial support to Ukraine. Then. Yeah.
But still, Mr. Stoltenberg, the support you give is still a very small fragment of the much money you have made since the war started. So, do you think that since now Ukraine is running out of money in start of 26, do you think that Norway has a bigger moral obligation to support Ukraine economically since you make so much money?
We all have obligation to support Ukraine, and therefore I welcome that more and more countries are providing substantial support to Ukraine. I have worked for increasing the support for Ukraine since I came here in 2014 in my position as Secretary General of NATO. And then I'm proud that the Norwegian government this year decided to triple its support, military support to Ukraine. To estimate the consequences of the war is extremely difficult because oil and gas prices go up and down. We put all of that into this fund, and then we finance the budget with the return from the fund. I think that how much different countries should provide, of course, also should be related to how wealthy they are, how rich they are. And if you compare Norway's support to GDP, we are on a very high level.
But the Norwegian Institute NUPI said yesterday that you should double your support because it would be much cheaper to support Ukraine now in order to make them strong than wait and let Russia win, which will be much more expensive. Do you agree?
Well, we have tripled the support, no, it's not a small amount. It's more than compared to GDP. It's more than all other European countries. So it's not a small amount to provide 7.3 billion in.
Compared to the over 100 billion
I think what you need to compare to is the size of the economy, the earnings of the country. And then the best way to measure that is to measure against GDP. And compared to GDP, we are on a very high position. Or hardly any country, if any country, provides more support. But again, we have tripled. We are providing significant support to Ukraine. I think we all should provide support to Ukraine, and I urge all the countries to do more. We should all do more, and Norway is doing more.
A question on corruption. In light of the corruption scandal erupting on Wednesday, has this rattled Norway or the EU's support for Ukraine when it comes to financial assistance? And how are you going to make sure that any financial support for Ukraine isn't misappropriated?
We are providing our support through different international channels, including, for instance, NATO, which has a mechanism to provide support to Ukraine. And I am absolutely confident that the NATO mechanism, but also the other mechanisms which we are providing support to Ukraine through, they do the utmost to make sure that the money is actually delivered and used to protect Ukraine. I know also that President Zelensky really works hard to fight corruption, and we should support him in those efforts. But the right response is not to reduce support to Ukraine. The right response is to continue to provide substantial economic and military support to Ukraine, and then help him in fighting corruption, because it's urgent and it's important for us that Ukraine succeeds in stopping the Russian aggression.
Minister, the Commission now announced new trade measures on Faroe allies, and Norway has been working hard to become exempt from these measures, but it's not exempt in the proposal. Do you consider this a prestigious loss for Norway?
Well, it's well known that Norway disagrees. These measures were, as they started the process almost a year ago, and we have been in close dialogue with the European Union on different levels. It was an issue now in the meeting with the Minister of Finance, the safeguard measures on Faroe allies. And it's well known that Norway and the other EFTA countries, we disagree. We believe in the integrity of the European internal market. We believe that open trade is good for all of us. And the producers of ferroalloys in Norway, they are mostly owned by foreign companies, and they are part of the European supply chain. So therefore, we continue to argue in favor of open trade and against the safeguard measures against EFTA countries. The final decision has not yet been taken, and we will, of course, continue to argue in favor of free and open trade because we think it benefits both the EFTA countries and the EU countries.
Do you consider any legal action against those measures if they are approved on Friday?
This is now a political issue, and that has not been on the table. I think we now have we had a political dialogue on many levels. It was also an important part of the meetings I had yesterday, and also, of course, with all the Ministers of Finance today. And that's what I have to say about that.
Is it possible in future that you increased support for Ukraine, taking into consideration the growing of benefits from gas trade from Norway? Of course, you
but again, also, I'm honored that I became Minister of Finance in February this year, and I'm glad that one of the first decisions I was part of was to triple the Norwegian military aid to Ukraine, and we provide that aid in hard cash, in 7.3 billion, and this makes a difference, and we have proposed a similar amount for the budget for 2026. And if we look at the latest figures from the Kiel Institute, for instance, then you see that actually the support from Norway has increased and will further increase throughout the year. So this makes a difference. We are, compared to our size, our economy, our wealth, among the countries that provides the most support, and compared to GDP and per capita, we are on the top. And then we will, of course, constantly consider what more we can do. But this year we have already tripled our support, and that puts us in a position where hardly any other country provides more support.
Are you disappointed that other economies have not followed this example of Norway?
No, I will not rank and assess what the other countries do. It's well known that it varies between countries how much support they provide to Ukraine. Of course, if you measure in absolute terms, it depends on the size of the economy, but also if you measure against the GDP or per capita, it also varies. But I will leave it to both NATO and the European Union to work on how to improve burden sharing. It's important that we all do whatever we can, and Norway has significantly increased. And I feel the responsibility to make sure that we continue to provide significant support to Ukraine because it is important for all of us. Okay. No, one more. Sorry.
If Norway participates in these reparations loans, do you think Russia will pose the biggest threat to Norway, like with drones or?
No. This is not about supporting Ukraine. We are supporting Ukraine, and this is how we facilitate the support. I mean, whether we are part of a lending arrangement organized by the European Union or whether we give that support directly is not what matters for Ukraine. What matters for Ukraine is that we support them. And so far we have delivered direct support. There are many good arguments for continue to do that through NATO and other mechanisms. But again, we have to see what the EU decides, what kind of scheme they are setting up. And in my meeting with Dombrovskis, the commissioner responsible for this, he said clearly that there are no plans to ask any third-party country or any country outside the EU to be part of this. So it's again, we will support Ukraine. And we will ensure that we provide them with direct support. And then we have to see what the EU decides and then make the final decisions on if Norway is going to play a role. But the message I got in my meetings yesterday was that there are no plans to ask Norway to be part of that scheme. But of course the EU welcomes that Norway provides support to Ukraine, and that we will continue to do. Thank you so much. Thank you. Such a meeting was in 1996, and then Jean Claude Juncker was tragedy for Ukraine. I'm now again back in the position I had 29 years ago. Different commissioners in Brussels today. And he welcomed, of course, that. There was also the issue I mentioned is of the ministry system. We have not seen because no EU decision has been made. €2 billion. And